Hey, welcome to another edition of the Retail Sales Motivation Podcast. I'm your host and sales coach, Baraka, and this weekly podcast is for all of you commissioned retail sales warriors out there working hard to turn every interaction into a sweet payday. This week, we're going to talk about run, hide, fight. When we're confronted with things that make us uncomfortable, we typically do whatever we can to avoid the pain. And I thought about this as I completed my stores training for how to handle active shooter emergencies. Now, while I have some very strong opinions about the fact that our country has reached the point where shootings inside of retail stores no longer shocks us, that's not what we're discussing today. The crux of the training revolved around three basic things to remember when involved in an active shooter situation. Run, hide, fight. First, you run away. If you can't run, then you hide. And if your hiding place is discovered, then you fight for your life. Well, while that's pretty, chilling when you are going through it, and I can only imagine what it must be like for kids going through active shooter drills. I can only imagine, and it's horrifying. I realized that we do the same things, run, hide, and fight, whenever we're faced with a difficult problem in sales. So let me explain where I'm going with this. So run. Okay, that's the first thing, right? Well, imagine this scenario. You're up and you spot a repeat customer approaching the store who's notorious for spending an hour in the store just to maybe buy a low ticket item. So you spot them before they see you, and you quickly excuse yourself to go to the bathroom and let your teammates know, hey, you can go ahead and take my spot. Right? Leaving them with this customer. Okay. So you ran away from the potentially difficult situation, right? Okay. Second option. After running is no longer an option, you hide, right? So imagine this scenario. Your sales manager's been trying to meet with you in order to discuss a new initiative that's being rolled out. And you tend to be uncomfortable with change, so you make sure that you're always either with a customer, on the phone with a customer, or at lunch, whenever the manager is looking for you to discuss this initiative, okay? So in this scenario, you are hiding. You are hiding behind activity, which would shield you from your sales manager, interrupting it, right? You're either with a customer or you're at lunch. Either way, the sales manager is most likely not going to bother you during those periods, right? And you try to do it enough so that, the sales manager ends up having to leave or you leave before they can actually go over that initiative with you. Okay, so then the third option, fight. If you ran or couldn't run and you hid, but the danger has now found you, okay? And so now you are forced to fight for your life. Well, that comes up too. So imagine this scenario. You see a teammate talking with one of your customers, and you immediately assume that the teammate has done something underhanded and shady in order to steal your customer. Now, what do? I'll tell you what I've seen done a lot, right? First thing you do is you start telling the rest of the team how scandalous that offender is, right? And how pissed off you are being victimized by the theft, right? Oh my God, you have just been so egregiously wronged by this person, and this person should have known better, and they know what they're doing, and oh, woe is me, right? I'm the victim here, and oh, I'm just so angry by this person, right? More after the break. And we're back. Then what tends to happen is then report the salesperson to the sales manager, right? And oh my God, this person, they're violating the rules. They're violating the policies. They're not being a trusted teammate. Fire them. But before you fire them, string them up. I want blood, right? Okay. That tends to be the conversation with your sales manager. And then after all of that, you're just hawking. You're hawking this salesperson with your customer, right? You're not even taking another up because you want to see what happens, right? Whether it turns into a sale that should have been yours or doesn't turn into a sale which serves them right. And if you had been there, it would have been a sale, right? Okay, so you're just hawking them. You can't possibly deal with a customer because in your mind, you're just focused on righting this wrong. So you wait, you see the salesperson is now done with the customer and has separated themselves from the customer, and you go for it. You go up there and you let them have it, right? And you confront that salesperson and you accuse them of committing heinous crimes against humanity because they stole your sale and they knew better and they just egregiously meant to hurt you and to defile the sanctity of the sales floor and the sales process. Okay, so in each scenario, you were confronted with a problem, a difficulty, right? And you did what we're actually being taught to do in an active shooter situation, right? You ran, you hid, and you fought, right? So in each of those scenarios, you had other options, right? And I'm sure you already, figured that out just from listening to the scenarios. And yes, they were, crazy, but they were not unrealistic. Those scenarios do happen quite a bit, at least in our stores. I've seen it, right? So the first one with the repeat customer who tends not to, buy anything large, but they tend to take up a lot of the salesperson's time, right? So you ran. If you had stayed with them and had decided that this was going to be maybe a personal challenge to you to see if, you could practice on them your build the ticket skills, right? And just, see what techniques you could try to get them to build that ticket up, right? Like just knowing going into it that they probably will not want to build their ticket, but make it a game for yourself, right? Like, hey, I'm going to see, bet one of your coworkers, hey, I bet you $5. I'm going to get them to buy more than in my furniture store. The small ticket item would be maybe a lamp, right? So I'm going to get them to buy more than a lamp. Watch. Okay. So that's one way that you could, instead of running, you could stand your ground, right? This is your house. This is your store. And it's your up. And you're going to defend your up by turning it into a sale, right? Okay. So that's one option. Second option, the scenario where you hid. More after the break. And we're back. Right? You hid behind activity, right? In order to avoid the difficult conversation of having to implement a change in your process and in your technique, right? Well, if you think about it like, hey, this is an opportunity to either prove it right and that like this will benefit me and this will make me more money, or it's an opportunity to prove it wrong, right? Like, okay, hey, I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to prove to the sales manager that this thing doesn't work, right? But I'm going to give it an honest attempt over, a period of time. and, see what shakes out. I don't think it's going to work, but let's give it a try just to prove the manager wrong and just to prove me right. Or you could take the option of, hey, I think, all right, let me check it out. Let me see if it works for me. Maybe I can utilize this and tweak it in a way that, will be a benefit to me, right? Maybe this could make me more money. Maybe there's been some social proof. Maybe someone else tested it before and okay, you know what? All right, if it worked for them, maybe it'll work for me. Let me give it a shot. Either way, right? It gives you a way to have some confidence and some courage going into the conversation that, hey, this change may not hurt me. Okay, because that's one of the reasons why people who fear change. It's because you're afraid that the change is going to hurt you. And so you have to work your mind around like, okay, this is not going to hurt me. So that's second option. Third option. Okay, you're in a scenario where you're ready to fight, right? You're ready to fight your teammate because they did you wrong. Okay. First of all, unless you know for a fact that this particular teammate just doesn't care about you, right? Doesn't care about anybody, is just, about them, and they don't care what the rules are, and, they don't care who they have to run over to benefit themselves. And there are people like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, Pollyannish about this. But by and large, I think you can probably agree with me that most of the people that you work with really do care about, you care about each other, right? Like, you're not trying to hurt anybody. You may in the moment be thinking more about your own selfish needs and your own commission than, what will benefit your teammates. And that's just natural. That's what's going to happen in a sales environment, especially if it's competitive, right? I mean, that just is what it is. When you eat what you kill, you covet your kill, right? So that makes sense. But if you take that moment to reflect on, okay, what's the likelihood that they were really trying to hurt me? It's most likely slim to none. Then that makes you say, okay, so why do I think this person is talking to my customer? Did that salesperson seek that customer out? Or could it just have been that maybe the salesperson was passing by and, and just, acknowledge the customer's presence, with a hello or whatever, and the customer, grabbed them. More after the break. And we're back. Right? And, ask them questions and, engage with them. Is that possible? Sure. Is it possible that the salesperson in that conversation answered the customer's question and then asked them, hey, are you working with someone, who can I get you back in touch with the person, who should be helping you? And maybe the customer said to them, can you just help me? Yes, that person was nice or whatever, but can you help me? I connect with you, right? Customers have the right to choose who they work with by and large in retail, right? If they connect with somebody, then that's who they should work with, right? Maybe the salesperson had it in their mind that, okay, you know what? I'll help you. And then as soon as I get a chance to, talk to the actual salesperson who greeted them or whatever, I'll work it out with them. Maybe, we'll turn it into a split or something. We'll figure it out afterwards. The bottom line is, the moral of the story is, did you actually play a story in your mind that could have avoided a fight, could have avoided a confrontation? Or did you play a story in your mind that reinforced the idea that you were going to have to fight, that you were going to have to confront, that you were going to have to, be ready to throw hands, right? It's all about the story that was playing in your head because you don't actually know what was happening between those two. You might have seen them talking, and that might have been the beginning of the interaction, right? Like, who knows what was going on? And before you jump to conclusions and assume the worst in your teammates, if you had taken a pause and reflected and thought it through, maybe you could have avoided, all the animosity. Again, that's not in every situation, but I'm going to say that it's probably the lion's share of the situations it could have been avoided. So that's run, that's hide, that's fight. Okay. And again, that's part of, an active shooter situation. If that happens to you, God, forbid. But if it does happen in where you work, please remember those 3 words: run, hide, fight. Run away. That's your first duty. Run away, because your job is to get home every night, right? So run. If you can't run away, if you cannot run out of the building, then hide, okay? Find a good hiding place for yourself. Barricade yourself in there. Turn your phone ringer and vibrate off, right? So it's not making any sounds at all, not even vibrate, okay? And then from that hiding place, call the police. If you can, be quiet and do it. If you cannot, then don't do anything, just hide. And then fight. If your hiding place is discovered, I want you to fight like your life depends on it, because it does. Grab something, throw it at them, hit them with it. Like, just do everything you can to fight for your life. Help is on its way, all right? You just have to stay alive long enough for the help to reach you. So fight, 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 okay? That's in an active shooter situation. In a sales situation, don't run. Stand your ground. Don't hide from the problem. Try to, get your mind wrapped around the idea that you're going to have to confront this problem and solve it, right? And don't fight your teammates all the time. Don't, sell them short. They're probably just as concerned about, doing the right thing as you are. Give them the benefit of the doubt, okay? Have some peace in your household. Have some peace on the floor, okay? All right, that's it. Book recommendations. One of my sales people recommended this really good book to me, and I'm not done with it yet, but I've been listening to the audiobook, but it's been really good, and I'm recommending it to all of you. It's called Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. It's by Robert B. Cialdini, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And I apologize to that man if I mispronounced it. But I believe it's Cialdini, Cialdini. The link will be on in our show notes for this episode. Of course, if you use our link, then, the show gets, a couple of coins, which helps keep the show going, because podcasting is not free. Who knew? So that's it. That's what I got for you guys. I hope that you continue to be safe, and I hope that you continue to be profitable. And I hope this is a great, great week. And for those of you who are in the midst or about to be in the midst of your Labor Day sales, happy hunting. Have a great week. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you'll gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, If neither cold poverty, nor famine, nor gout, nor sickness, nor pain, nor body, nor brain can keep you away from that thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it.